ગયા શુક્રવારના અમુક મસાઇલ એ નિયતથી બયાન કર્યા હતા કે જેથી જે ભાઈઓ સવારના રવિવારના આવી શકતા નથી એ લોકો પણ અમુક મસાઇલ જે જરૂરી છે એ સમજે. તો ઘણા ભાઈઓ એમ કીધું કે તમે મસાઇલ રાતના બયાન કરશો, સવારે કોઈ આવવાના હશે તો એ નહીં આવે. બહરહાલ મજબૂરી એ છે કે पैगंबर अकरम પછી અને ઇમામ સલામ બાદ અને 12મી ગઈબતમાં વાજિબ છે કે પહોંચાડવું જોઈએ, એ નિયતથી પહોંચાડી. તો આજે એક બીજી વાત કે જે બહુ સાદી છે પણ બહુ જરૂરી છે તે રજૂ કરીને પછી આપણે આપણા વિષય ઉપર આવીએ, અને તે છે સજદા. જ્યારે સજદો કરીએ છીએ ત્યારે આપણી શરીયતમાં સજદો નમાઝમાં વાજિબે રૂકની છે, અને વાજિબે રૂકની થી મુરાદ એ છે કે અગર નમાઝમાં એ વસ્તુ જો બાતિલ હોય તો નમાઝ બાતિલ. બે સજદા ભેગા જ્યારે થાય તો વાજિબે રૂકની થાય છે. વાજિબે રૂકનીનો અર્થ એ કે એ વાજિબ કે અગર ભૂલથી કે જાણી કરીને બાતિલ થાય તો નમાઝ જ બાતિલ. સજદો અગર બાતિલ હોય આપણો તો નમાઝ આપણું સહી નથી. અને સજદો દેખાવે સાદી ચીજ છે કે દરેક નમાઝ પઢનાર જાણે છે કે સજદો કરવો છે, પણ સજદામાં 7 વસ્તુઓ જમીન પર અડાડવી વાજિબ છે. 7 વસ્તુઓ. પ્રથમ પહેલી વસ્તુ પેશાની, કપાળ, ફોરહેડ. એનું જમીનને અડવું, અથવા તો જ્યાં આપણે સજદો કરતા હોઈએ જેમ કે સજદાગાહ ઉપર, હા કે કરબલા ઉપર, અથવા જે જગ્યાએ સજદો કરી શકાય છે એના ઉપર જ્યારે સજદો કરતા હોઈએ ત્યારે કપાળના સેન્ટરનું, ફોરહેડના સેન્ટરને અડવું વાજિબ છે. એટલે સજદાગાહના એટલો નાનો હોય કે ફક્ત એક જગ્યાને અડે, ના જરૂર છે કે બહુ મોટો હોય પણ એટલો હોવો જોઈએ કે એમ કહેવાય કે સેન્ટર ઓફ ધ ફોરહેડ હેઝ ટચ્ડ. બીજી વસ્તુ જે વાજિબ છે તે આ 2 હથેળી અને 2 પામ્સ છે કે જેના માટે ખાસ આપણે જોઈએ છીએ ઘણી વખત આપણા ભાઈઓ ન જાણતા હોવાથી સજદો કરે છે ત્યારે હાથ આ પ્રમાણે રાખે છે. અગર સરફેસ ઉપર હાથ આમ રહે તો સજદો બાતિલ છે, સજદો સહી નથી. કારણ કે પામ અડતા નથી, આંગળીઓ અડે છે. આંગળીઓનું અડાડવું વાજિબ નથી, પામનું અડાડવું. એટલે અગર એક ઇન્સાન કોઈ પણ કારણસર આંગળી ઊંચી રાખીને પણ આમ હાથ રાખે તો એનો સજદો સહી છે, કારણ કે વાજિબ છે પામ અડે, ન કે આંગળી અડે. એટલે આ પ્રમાણે હાથ રાખી ને પામ હોલો રહી જાય અને જમીન ના અડે તો આ સજદો બાતિલ છે, નમાઝ. તો બીજી વસ્તુ છે આ 2 પામ્સ કે જેને અડવું જરૂરી છે. સજદો કરતા હોઈએ ત્યારે આપણે ધ્યાન રાખવાની જરૂર છે કે હથેળી અને પામ અડે છે. તો 2 વસ્તુ થઈ, પણ ઘણા 3, કારણ કે 1 કપાળ અને 2 હથેળી એટલે 3 વસ્તુ થઈ. હવે પછી ગોઠણ, નીઝનું અડવું જરૂરી છે. નીઝનું અડવું જરૂરી છે, નીઝની નીચેનો ભાગ નહીં. એક સજદો આપણે એવો બી કરી શકીએ છીએ કે જેમાં નીઝ નહીં અડે પણ નીઝ પછીનો ભાગ અડશે, કે જે ઘણા ભાઈઓ સજદો એવી રીતે કરે છે. સજદે શુક્રમાં ઘણા ભાઈઓ એવી રીતે સજદો કરે છે કે તમે જોશો કે એ લોકોનો આ ભાગ અડે છે, ગોઠણ નહીં. એ સજદો પૂરો નથી કે જેમાં ગોઠણ ન અડતો. માટે એટલો ડિસ્ટન્સ રાખવો જોઈએ કે જ્યારે સજદો કરવા જઈએ તો આપણા ગોઠણ અને ની કેપ અડે. અને છેલ્લે પગના બે અંગૂઠાનું જમીન ઉપર અડવું વાજિબ છે, પગના બે અંગૂઠાનું અડવું વાજિબ છે. અગર કોઈ માણસ સજદો એવી રીતે કરે કે એના અંગૂઠા ન અડતા હોય પણ નખ અડે, આંગળીઓ આ પ્રમાણે રાખી તો એનો સજદો બાતિલ છે. એને આવી રીતે ઉપરનો ભાગ અંગૂઠાનો છે અડવું જરૂરી છે. હા, અગર એની બીજી આંગળીઓ પણ અડે તો સાથે તો વાંધો નથી, કારણ કે અમુક માણસોની બીજી આંગળીઓ લાંબી હોય અને અંગૂઠા સાથે અડે તો પણ અંગૂઠાના ટેરવાનું અપર પાર્ટ ઓફ ધ ટોઝ એનું અડવું જરૂરી છે. માટે આંગળી ઊંચી રાખી આ પ્રમાણે હાથ પગને સુડાવીને સજદો કરવાથી સજદો બાતિલ. તો 7 વસ્તુઓ છે. ઘણા ભાઈઓને આ મસલાની ખબર નથી. પહેલી સફમાં નમાઝ પડે છે, નમાઝ જમાતમાં, એ લોકોનો સજદો બાતિલ હોય છે. એ લોકોના આ નમાઝ બાતિલ હોવાને કારણે બીજા ભાઈઓની નમાઝની તકલીફ પહોંચે છે. 7 વસ્તુઓ સિજદાની અંદર જમીનમાં અડાડવી વાજિબ છે. કપાળ, 2 હથેળી, 2 ગોઠણ અને પગના 2 અંગૂઠા. તે સિવાય નાક અડે સુન્નત છે, નાક અડાડવું એ સુન્નત છે. આ 7 વસ્તુઓ સિજદામાં વાજિબ હોવાને કારણે આપણે જ્યારે કોઈ ગુજરી જાય છે, મૈયત થાય છે, ત્યારે આપણે હુનૂત જે કાફૂરથી આપીએ છીએ, કફન પહેરાવ્યા પહેલા, ગુસ્લ આપ્યા પછી કાફૂરથી આપણે હુનૂત આપીએ છીએ, કફન પહેરાવ્યા પહેલા. એ હુનૂત પણ આપણે 7 જગ્યાએ મૂકીએ છીએ કે જે જગ્યાએ એ સજદો કરતો હોય છે. થોડું કાફૂર લઈ અને એની પેશાની ઉપર, થોડું કાફૂર લઈ એના બંને હથેળી ઉપર, એના બંને ગોઠણો ઉપર અને પછી એના બંને અંગૂઠા ઉપર મૂકીએ છીએ, જે વાજિબ છે. એ 7 સજદાની જગ્યાએ આપણે હુનૂત કરીએ છીએ કફનથી પહેલા. હવે કોઈએ ફરમાવ્યું કે કફનથી પહેલા કોઈ માણસ ભૂલી જાય તો કફન બાદ પણ આપી શકે છે, પણ હુનૂત વાજિબ છે. એ સજદાની 7 જગ્યાએ આપણે આપીએ છીએ. તો જ્યારે આપણે નમાઝ પડતા હોઈએ ત્યારે સજદા માટે આ ધ્યાન રાખવું કે આપણે આ 7 જગ્યાએ અડવી જોઈએ. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. We are still on the subject of imamat, and this might continue for some weeks to come. But we are at the moment discussing that part which concerns the rule of Imam Ali alayhi salam, for one reason, that perhaps in the history of Islam he was the only Imam who was given that opportunity to rule, to implement the jurisprudence of Islam. Other Aimma have had to lead a different sort of life. But here is an Imam who at least for 4 years and 9 months was given an opportunity to sit on that throne and on that succession which is known as Khilafah. And it was a model rule, because we can today give an example and say that this would have been the type of rule if every Imam would have been allowed an opportunity to rule. Otherwise, there would have been no practical example in history. Imam Ali's rule for 4 years and 9 months was a practical example of how the rule should be. In Islam, the question of democracy or autocracy or dictatorial rule or communism or whatever sort of government one might think of is not important at all. What is important in Islam is that the rule has got to be benign and benevolent. That is important. When there is a person who rules, like Imam Ali alayhi salam as a king and a monarch, a Khalifa at the time, what is expected of him in Islam is that he has got first to be benign, and secondly he has got to be benevolent, in a sense that nobody's right is put into jeopardy. and that there is no injustice, and that he is capable of taking decision and seeking advice when necessary. This is important. If there is a democracy which does not grant enough right, that democracy is of no use. It is not a democracy, rather it is a hypocrisy. In the same way, if there is a dictatorial rule which is benevolent and which protects the rights of the people, then that rule would be preferable to a rule which may be a democratic rule, but it has got no room for justice. The type of rule that Imam Ali alayhi salam had was a rule in which he sought advice whenever needed. He used to have people around him who would advise him, and he would himself solicit the advice and ask them what they thought about it. At the same time, he was so benign that in Islam, he perhaps was the first one to raise an outcry when some of the Islamic soldiers reported to Imam Ali that Muawiyah's vagabonds have raided certain parts of Imam Ali's rule, and they stole away one single ornament that was worn by a Jewish lady, Yahudi lady. It was a small ornament put in her feet. And Muawiyah's people came, and while they were plundering the whole Medina and all of Hijaz, they also robbed that woman of that ornament. She was a Yahudi, she was a Jew. Imam Ali alayhi salam has said this in Nahj al-Balagha, that I simply cannot understand why Muslims kept silent while one Jew lady was being robbed under the rule of Imam Ali. Because there is a protection. See, when there is a non-Muslim under the protection of Islamic rule, he is or she is protected. How come that you did not raise an outcry, that you allowed this to happen? This cannot happen because Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam thinks that there has been an infringement of somebody's right to security and protection. Apart from that, in these 4 years and 9 months, Imam Ali alayhi salam proved himself as a very knowledgeable person, a person who would answer nearly every question that was put to him during his time. Scientific, mathematical questions, philosophical questions, and if you refer to Nahj al-Balagha and read Nahj al-Balagha the way it should be read, you will find that Imam Ali alayhi salam has made references to so many philosophical questions which have been solved today. He was perhaps the first man who thought of time as a dimension of existence. But when we read, unfortunately, we don't ponder, we don't go through the lines. But he was the first man who thought of time and its relation to our existence. He was the first man who talked of absence of time and absence of space when he discussed Allah. And it was really difficult for people to understand how can there be an existence without time and without space. And he has spoken about what time would mean when the day of judgment arises, Yawm al-Qiyamah. When Allah in Quran says, that day will that be of 50,000 years? We have been learning this when we were young. Qayamat no divas 50,000 varas no thase, that a day will be equal to 50,000 years. We simply cannot understand, and Imam Ali alayhi salam has discussed even that. And he has given some hint into the relative concept of time. These things were there. In Nahj al-Balagha, you will find fund of knowledge that Imam Ali alayhi salam has left. What is Nahj al-Balagha? Imam Ali alayhi salam definitely did not leave Nahj al-Balagha as a book, no. But in those days, while he sat on mimbar and delivered sermons, the people avidly heard him and noted down. And because in those days Arabs relied upon their memory, things have come to us even to this century, transmitted by memory than by anything else from the Arabs, because they believed in oral sciences, and therefore by oral transmission things went. They heard Imam Ali alayhi salam and they memorized immediately. And if they had doubts, they would come again and ask Mawla, that is this your khutbah, that we have heard it correctly or not? And if there was any difference, Imam alayhi salam would correct it. And this is how things were reported from Imam Ali. What happened was that ulama immediately started compiling the lectures of Imam Ali alayhi salam and his letters which he wrote to various people, and his will which he made to his sons. He made one will to Imam Hassan, he made another will to Muhammad ibn Hanafiya, and so on. And that is how Imam Ali alayhi salam left a treasure, and gradually ulama started compiling it into a book. And Nahjul Balagha, compiled by Sharif Radi, does not include every lecture of Imam Ali or every letter. He compiled as many as he could. But there are other books today, here in Britain, in the library, in the British Library here, which are older for reference purposes than Nahjul Balagha, and they contain many more lectures of Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. These lectures, these letters which he wrote, the will which he made, and small sayings of Imam Ali, they all came from his mouth during his 4 years and 9 months. And people avidly heard him and they recorded it. I myself somehow doubted sometimes as to how much people could memorize. But I have given my own personal example from my recent experience when I was in Iraq, and I was for 4 months inside, and we had no tools, nothing to write and nothing to read. For 4 months we acted illiterate, nothing to read, nothing to write. And there was a poet there who was also interred together with me. He was an Arab poet, and he recited lines of poetry, and I could remember each and everything the next day. When we sat again, I could recite the whole thing because I relied upon my memory. When I was released and I came here, when I tried to recall, I could recall half of it. And today, if you ask me, I don't recollect even a single line. Those were the days when I relied upon my memory, and I had to commit it to memory because I thought that was the only source of diversion. We were there doing nothing from morning till evening. So when human mind has no tool, then it has got its own brain and its own mind and its own power to rely upon, and it is sharpened. And this is how we find that the oral sciences and traditions are transmitted. Well, but what I wanted to say today is this, that they did not allow Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam to give to us all that he wished to give. There were certain people who were privileged. Imam Ali alayhi salam would sit with them in private session and explain. For example, one of the most privileged companions of Imam Ali alayhi salam was Kumayl. We read Dua Kumayl. It is known as Dua Kumayl, but it is not Kumayl's Dua. It is Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam's Dua, taught to Kumayl. Because he taught Kumayl, therefore we know it as Dua Kumayl, but it is Dua of Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. And if you go into Ahadith, you find that this is Dua of Hazrat Khizr, translated into Arabic by Imam Ali. But he taught Kumayl at night when Kumayl was just alone and there wasn't anybody else. And Imam Ali took him by the arm and said, Kumayl, I am teaching you a dua, a supplication, which you should read at least on Thursday nights. And if you can't read on Thursday nights, read on the night of 15th Shaban. And if you cannot do that, at least read it once in your life. Because the contents are such which can set your life actually revolutionized. If you ponder over what I say, how I supplicate to Allah. And that dua was committed to memory by Dua Kumayl, by Mr. Kumayl. And today we have Dua Kumayl. Who is that Kumail? He was killed because of the love of Ali ibn Abi Talib. When you go to, inshallah, ziyarah, from Najaf, when you go to Kufa, on your way you will find one ziyarat, which is ziyarat of Kumail. They will show you his grave, and they will tell you that here is the grave of Kumail ibn Ziyad al-Nakhai. That is the man who was killed only because he loved Ali ibn Abi Talib. And he was killed when he was quite old. Then, among the privileged, were Maitham Tammar or Mitham Tammar. Tammar means one who sells dates, khajur. And he had a shop in Kufa, and Imam Ali was his partner. It shows that while Imam Ali ruled, for his own upkeep and maintenance, he did not take money from the treasury of the people, but he had his own source of income from which he maintained himself and his family. He was a partner in that shop, and Mitham was his partner. And sometimes Mitham would tell Imam Ali, Ya Ali, I have got to go and purchase certain things. I have got to go for some family work. Could you please come and assist me? And Imam Ali would go, stand behind the counter and sell dates. And people would see that the ruler of the time is selling dates. And they would ask and say, Ya Ali, you here behind the counter? Say, yes, I am a partner. I am a partner and I must assist my partner. He has gone out to purchase certain things. He has gone for some family shows. I must help him, and therefore I have come here to assist and work. So, Mitham was one of those confidants of Imam Ali, whom Imam Ali Islam taught certain sciences nobody else knew. Mitham knew ilmul manaya. Mitham knew who will die, where and when and how. And Imam Ali told him that I am teaching you this as a special privileged science, that you will know who will die, when and how, and you will have that extra science which is not bound by the limits of time, nor by the limits of the wall or distances. And therefore we find in history that while traveling in a small boat, he was the first man to say, Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. And somebody asked him, what happened? He said, Muawiyah has died in Damascus. He was in Kufa. And the people noted down the exact time and all that. They wanted to disprove it. By the time the news came there, they found it was the same day and the same time. And he said, don't try to disbelieve me. This is a science taught to me by my master, Ali ibn Abi Talib. I know how I will die. And he told Abdullah ibn Ziyad that my master has told me that I will be hanged and you will actually pull my tongue because I always talk in praise of Ali ibn Abi Talib. It was the same way. And then you'll find Mitham also on your way to Kufa for ziyarah. And then you'll find Asbagh. And then you'll find Sa'sa' bin Sohan, whose mosque is there in Masjid al-Sahla. All these people were the privileged people nearest to Imam Ali. To them, Ali ibn Abi Talib spoke. The inner core of science, which they could digest and understand. To the masses, it was impossible. Once when he said, Saluni qabla an tafqiduni, ask me before you don't find me. One fellow sitting there said, Ya Ali, this is my son. Can you tell me how much or how many hair he has on his head? That was the question they asked. Imam Islam smiled and said, you are asking me, if my friend here were to ask me how many hair does his son have here, if I told him 1 million, is he going to count? How is he going to substantiate or even disprove what I say? That was the type of silly questions they asked Ali ibn Abi Talib. One morning, Imam Ali was coming back with Kumail, and Kumail asked him, look at the question. Look at the question. He said, Ya Ali, tell me what is the meaning of reality? It's a philosophical question. And Imam Ali answered. And he went on further, and Imam Ali answered him. And he went on further, and Imam Ali answered him, going to the deeper and to the deepest level of knowledge. And suddenly he said, Ya Ali, I can't understand anymore now. Imam Ali Islam said, yes. That is the limit and no far. And don't ask me this amidst people because nobody will understand. You knew as much as you could understand, no far. There are people who are privileged because they could understand, they had some background. And there are people who just could not understand. And therefore Imam alayhi salam explained them in the most cursory manner that could be had. And that is the reason why I say that within 4 years and 9 months, he was not able to give us the maximum that he would give. What happened is immediately after the Battle of Camel, which I described last time, Muawiyah started amassing another army and an onslaught against Imam Ali, which is known as Jang-e-Siffin. Jang is a battle or a war, and Siffin is a place, name of place. He came from Damascus, and Imam Ali's army advanced from here, Kufa, and in between they met at a place known as Siffin, where there was an engagement for 110 days. And Imam Ali Islam tried his level best to see that there was peace. Every time that Muawiyah, there must be peace. But Muawiyah would not agree. The prime minister of Muawiyah was Amr ibn al-As. You know who Amr ibn al-As is? Even today, in Iraq or in Iran, if somebody wants to abuse someone, he says, you are Amr ibn al-As. In our language, we say Umaras. But he is not Umaras, he is Amr ibn al-As. The most mischievous politician of his time. A very old man, well versed in politics and mischief. He was the prime minister of Muawiyah. But he knew who Ali ibn Abi Talib was. He himself relates that when Muawiyah wrote me a letter to say, come and become my prime minister, I consulted my 2 sons. He had 2 sons. My eldest son told me, Father, if you want to go, forgetting the day of judgment, that you will be asked that you are going after the world and forsaking Akhirah, because truth is with Ali ibn Abi Talib and not with Muawiyah. If you would like to go, for the sake of this world, go. But if you are afraid and you are concerned about your accounts, your deeds, your responsibilities, don't go. Because whoever goes against Ali ibn Abi Talib is doomed. He asked another son, said, what do you say? He said, Baba, don't listen to this fellow. Whatever is in the world is cash. Who has seen tomorrow? He himself says, Amr ibn al-As, that 7 times I asked for my horse to come and I sent it back. Every time the horse came, I wanted to mount the horse and go. Another son would say, please don't go, it is for your akhirah. And I would send the horse back to the stable. On the 7th time, when the horse came, I just did not ask my children. I sat on the horse back and left for Muawiyah. And I became his prime minister. Now that I am very old, Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, the education minister of India, has written a book in which he says that when Amr ibn al-As was dying, he was very old. When he was on his deathbed, he called Abdullah ibn Abbas, equally aged men, because only an old man can talk to an old man. And he said, Abdullah ibn Abbas, I have gone old. Abdullah ibn Abbas said, yes, even I have gone old. He said, we are all both on the verge of death. He said, yes. Amr ibn al-As said, but I am dying. Can you show me any dua which will save me from the hell fire? Now people are asking for dua when they are dying. Abdullah ibn Abbas said, why are you afraid? He said, I am afraid because I have opposed Ali ibn Abi Talib all my life. And I know for sure that whoever dies with the enmity of Ali ibn Abi Talib is not going to be saved. He said, well, now, he said, teach me some dua so that I may die peacefully. Abdullah ibn Abbas said, my friend, when God gave us life, He gave us new. What you want to give Him back now is very old. When He sent us to earth, it was fresh, new. We were young. We We were young then, youthful, we could have done whatever we liked. At that time we never realized. Now that you want to give back, the bargain is not equal. You are giving it back quite old and worn out and spent. So that can be nothing. You go and face the consequences of what you did. This is what Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad has written in his famous book, Insaniyat Maut Ke Darwaze Par. So, Amr ibn al-As was his prime minister, and in the battle of Siffin, Malik ibn Ashtar was Imam Ali's commander, and the army was advancing day by day. Every time Ali ibn Abi Talib would tell Muawiyah to stop this bloodshed. If he wants to fight, let him fight with me, against me. Let there be a personal fight. The sword will decide why there should be a bloodshed. Ali is ready. Tell him to come onto the foreground and fight. But Muawiyah would not. Muawiyah would not. At last there came a day when they are not very far away. And Malik Ashtar told Imam Ali, Mawla, this is going to be a decisive day. We are just a few yards away now, and we are just going to push this army back on to the tent of Muawiyah. And I am not going to leave him alive. And Mawla told him, let me finish today also my last hujjat by telling him to come himself. So on that day, Ali ibn Abi Talib cried from quite near and said, Muawiyah, there is still a chance to save the blood. Can you please come yourself and we fight? If at all you want to fight. At that time, Muawiyah was sitting, and Amr ibn al-As told him, Muawiyah, it is really womanish if you don't go. If you are really a man, you must answer now. I mean, this is really quite feminine, coward. So he looked at him and said, you mischievous fellow. If you think that you are brave enough, why don't you go? You go and I will follow you. So at that time, Amr ibn al-As said, all right, I'll show you how brave I am. And he took a sword and he came out. He came out. He came out with the sword and said, Ya Ali, Muawiyah will come later, but Amr ibn al-As has come. So Imam told him, come near. We are fighting. As he advanced and he came near Imam al-Islam and just lifted his sword. And as he lifted his sword and advanced 2 steps forward, and Amr ibn al-As started running, he just turned his back. As he turned his back, he ran. It was not Imam Ali's custom to follow a person who runs. It was not Imam Ali's custom to follow a person who is running away. But here Imam Ali told him that you have just come and you are running away. Wait! We haven't yet fought. And as he sensed that Imam Ali is drawing quite near. And if I don't stop, the sword is going to fall. What he did was quite famous. There cannot be a shameless thing. And I can't simply describe it, but he removed his clothes. As he lifted his clothes, he became naked. And as he became naked, it was difficult for Imam Ali now to just glance. Imam Ali said, La hawla wa la quwwata, and just turned his face. As he turned his face, the fellow ran away. Till his death, people used to tell him, you are the person who lifted the cloth and ran away. People used to tell him, even Muawiyah used to tell him, that don't you feel ashamed being a man? He said, but don't you know, I could sense the breath of Ali ibn Abi Talib. He was breathing over my shoulders. So Muawiyah told him that if he was breathing over your shoulders, why did you go? You were trying to incite me to go, and then you said you are brave enough. Didn't I tell you that no one can fight Ali ibn Abi Talib? I was wiser. Now, the stigma has remained. Amr ibn al-As is a man who lifted the cloth. And Ali ibn Abi Talib used to say, he said, no man would do this, not even a woman would do this. But I just could not look ahead, because it is haram to look at the private parts of anyone. When he lifted the cloth, I turned my face. And I turned my face, the fellow took the time and went off. So Imam Ali came back and said, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah, and he ordered, now is the time. What happened in history has never happened elsewhere. Amr ibn al-As told Muawiyah, look Muawiyah, this is a decisive battle. I am sure, %, that this army will advance and Malik Ashtar will come right here. We are going to be defeated. And either we run away or you follow my advice as I say what to do. It's a very interesting chapter that I have come to now. And I'll finish here. But you will immediately know what are the repercussions. So Muawiyah said, what should I do? He said, this is a critical time now. Because the army is advancing. And Malik Ashtar is in a very bad mood today. And Imam Ali alayhi salam is very much upset because I lifted my cloth and ran away. Now this is going to come, and definitely this is a decisive battle. He said, what to do? He said, look, do one thing. Call some people, take the covers of Quran, not the Quran, but the covers of Quran, and lift them on the spearhead, and tell them to march between the two lines and say that we want Quran to decide. We want Quran to decide. We are all Muslims, we believe in Quran, we want Quran to decide. There is no judge but Allah. Do that. It was a stunt which he wanted to try, and it succeeded. As the people marched between the two lines, with Quran empty, not Quran but the covers, saying, Inil hukmu illa lillah, there is no hukum and no judgment but that for Allah, and we want Quran to decide between the two. A group of people arose and said, Ya Ali, Quran. He says Quran. He has put Quran as a judge and a mediator. We are all Muslims. Ashhadu la ilaha illallah wa anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Quran is the book of God. I mean, how can we just go back on it? He has made an offer for truth. Imam Ali alayhi salam at that particular time said, this is Quran Samit and I am Quran Natiq. This is a Quran which does not speak. I am the Quran which speaks. If you want to know the message in that book, ask me. These people are deceiving you. There is no Quran there. And they don't want Quran to decide. They are just being deceitful. The people did not agree. They told Imam Ali, Ya Ali, tell Maliki Ashtar to return. Tell Maliki Ashtar to return. Imam Ali said, give me 1 hour. He said, they said not even a minute. Not only that, but they surrounded Ali ibn Abi Talib and said, Ya Ali, we are going to kill you. Now, Imam Ali Islam could not have been threatened. I mean, that was not a question of threat. Imam Ali Islam could have lifted his own sword. But what he feared was that history would have written down that Ali not only killed his enemies, but killed his own followers. It was a very delicate stage. So Imam said, all right, I'm sending someone to. He sent someone to Malik Ashtar right in the throes of the battle and said, Malik, Ali says withdraw. At that time Malik said, how can it be? I'm just near, I'm just approaching. I will tell Mawla that it's half an hour job, I'm finishing it. He came back and said, Malik Ashtar says that it's only half an hour's work now. Imam said, tell him that Mawla's hukum, order is that you come back. When somebody conveyed that it is Mawla's order that you come back, he just put his sword in his sheath and said, I'm fighting for Mawla. If Mawla says go back, I'll go back. And when he came back, he said, Ya Ali, just at the nick of the time when I was about to decide the whole thing, it was a victory in our favor, you called me back, said, Majid, look at these people now around me. Look at these people around. Now, so Imam said, all right, you want Quran to be your judge, mediator. Come on, appoint someone. Appoint someone who will go and mediate with Quran. So they said, somebody said, Ya Ali, you go. Mawla said, I'm all right, I'm prepared. These people said, no, Mawla, Ali, you can't go because you are an interested party. We'll send somebody else. And they sent Abu Musa Ash'ari. Those people who have lived in Zanzibar or in Mombasa, they know, they've heard about Ibadi. Ibadi. The ruler of Zanzibar was Ibadi. In Mombasa also we had a firqa known as Ibadi or Khawarij. These are the people. They are known as Ibadi, but they are actually Khawarij. Khawarij are those who rebelled against Ali ibn Abi Talib on that particular day. And that firqa has remained till today. They pray namaz like us, because they have been with Ali ibn Abi Talib. They pray namaz like us, open hand. And they also read namaz the same way as we do. They also say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim loudly before every surah, because they say that this is how Ali ibn Abi Talib prayed, but they don't believe it. Ibadah. Well, Abu Musa Ash'ari was appointed from this side. Imam al-Islam said, be careful, Abu Musa. Be careful. You are going to decide if Quran is going to be the mediator. He said, yes, I will do it. Abu Musa was sent from here. From there, Muawiyah appointed Amr ibn al-As himself. The master of every art, Amr ibn al-As was sent there to mediate on the terms of Quran. It was decided that they will meet next Friday. So on a Friday, in Friday prayer, Namaz al-Jum'ah, these two gentlemen arrived, mediators, to decide upon Quran as to who should rule, Ali or Muawiyah. Look at this. And the people were there to decide on the basis of Quran, because the Quran was shown. Now, Amr ibn al-As was so clever. He outwitted Abu Musa. He respected Abu Musa so much, showed respect ostensibly, that wherever they went together, Amr ibn al-As would keep himself behind Abu Musa. You know, there are some people who can be flattered, but there are some people who are like frogs, who flatter themselves. Have you seen the frog? Balloon, balloon, balloon. And then comes a time it can't contain itself and it bursts. And so there are people who can be flattered, but there are some people who really get flattered and then flattened. And this is exactly what happened to Abu Musa Ash'ari. He found that he was being flattered, and he really took it seriously. When the time came for someone to declare something, what they had decided in their private meeting, he told Abu Musa that you are a senior man, you are older than me, I respect you, therefore you go first and declare whatever we have decided. The Muslims are with us here to accept it. None knew what was going to be declared. And Abu Musa went on Mimbar after Namaz al-Jum'ah and he said, Ayyuhan nas, O people, we have both decided on the basis of Quran that each representative should declare that the Khalifa he represents is no more a Khalifa. Therefore, I am representing Ali ibn Abi Talib. I divest Ali ibn Abi Talib of every right of Khilafah. This was what they had decided. They had decided that each would do this. That what they had decided was, in their private meeting, that Abu Musa would divest Ali alayhi salam, and Amr ibn al-As would discard Muawiyah, and then they will let Muslims appoint another one. This they had decided in the private meeting. Abu Musa declared accordingly that I declare that Ali is no more a Khalifa. This is based on Quran. And he came down. As he came down, Abu Musa went up. Amr ibn al-As, gentlemen, did you hear what he said? So Ali ibn Abi Talib is no more. By his own representative, I replace Muawiyah. And I keep Muawiyah, I replace Ali ibn Abi Talib with Muawiyah. My Khalifa is going to occupy the seat. Instead of divesting him, he actually appointed him. And when this appointment was declared, Abu Musa just looked at him. He just went off. He just went off. Abu Musa could not collect himself because he just looked at him and said, Baba, but this is not what we decided. By the time he could convey what he wanted to say, Amr ibn al-As was gone. People said, Bastar, one fellow divests, another fellow appoints. You created a vacancy. Somebody came and filled it. That's all. None knew what was the story. Abu Musa started recounting the whole thing and said, this is what was decided. This fellow has betrayed me. It was too late. This is what Amr ibn al-As has said in his own qasidah to Muawiyah. He wrote a long qasidah. And he said, can you forget my obligations? خَلَعْتُ الْخِلَافَةَ مِنْ حَيْدَرٍ كَخَلْعِ النُّعَالِ مِنَ الْأَرْجُلِ. I took away Khilafat from Ali ibn Abi Talib, the way people take away shoes from their feet. وَأَلْبَسْتُهَا فِيكَ بَعْدَ الْأَيَاسِ. And I gave it to you after you were completely disappointed and you had no hope. I gave it to you. كَلَبْسِ الْخَوَاتِيمِ فِي الْأَنْمُلِ. I gave it to you the way people wear their ring. I took away from Ali ibn Abi Talib the way people take away the shoes, and gave it to you the way people put on their rings. Muawiyah was declared a Khalifa of Muslimin, and Ali ibn Abi Talib went back to Kufa to complete the rest of his days as a Khalifa. And he told the people, didn't I tell you that this is going to happen? Now the public has seen that Muawiyah is the Khalifa, while in fact Khilafat is mine. Didn't I tell you this? That this is going to happen? This was the Battle of Siffin, which had a decisive victory, but it could not be brought in because of Amr ibn al-As's mischief. And finally, Muawiyah secured his place, although Ali ibn Abi Talib remained the Khalifa till he was killed. This is Siffin. After Siffin, this group which had dissented because of Quran and all that, they fought against Ali ibn Abi Talib. Ibadis fought against Ali ibn Abi Talib. Kharijis also fought against Ali ibn Abi Talib. There was a time when Ibadis were the enemies of Ali ibn Abi Talib and Muawiyah both, because they disagreed with both. They didn't like either. There was a time when Ibadis used to write the name of Ali ibn Abi Talib under the shoe on their sword, Ali, and walk with it. They had so much of enmity against Ali ibn Abi Talib that they used to abuse Ali ibn Abi Talib. There was a time when they did it, and gradually now, after centuries, they have realized that Ali ibn Abi Talib was not bad. It was Muawiyah who was bad. But it will still take time. Our books have been now with them. They have read our books. They have read their own books, which prove the fadilat of Ali ibn Abi Talib. They have realized now. It has softened, but it has not softened to the extent that it should be. There was a time when they openly abused Imam Ali. Because of that, La hukma illa lillah, that Jang Siffin which happened. Now with this we can imagine that people can, in the guise of religion, cheat. People can, under the garb of religion, deceive, just as Amr ibn al-As did, by raising Quran or the covers of Quran on the spearhead and ignoring Ali ibn Abi Talib as an imam of the time. We must know this history. We must know what happened. Imam Ali alayhi salam had not yet completed his 4 years and 9 months when this happened. After that also Imam Ali alayhi salam had to fight one more civil war. And after having fought that civil war, then Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam was assassinated in the Masjid of Kufa. What he said, his final message, Ali ibn Abi Talib, Ayyuhan nas, I cannot please everybody. One, that I must please my Creator Allah, and I should not worry about what people think. Two. Third, that when there is haqq, Ali will be there. When there is batil, Ali will not be there. Fourth, there will be no deception or cheating in the name of religion. No deceit under the guise of religion. Finally, I am an imam. If you want to understand Quran, come to Imam. He will explain you what Quran is. Imam will never go against Quran, but the inner meaning of it will be explained by the Imam. Well, gentlemen, there isn't much to add except one small thing. That did Muawiyah realize that who Ali ibn Abi Talib was? Despite all this? Yes. He used to call people and say, and can you describe Ali? We are living in this country. We are living in this country. And our iman is in the hands of Allah. At the same time, our iman is in our own hands, and we should try to protect it as much as we can. When the Prophet said the time will come when to have iman and faith will just like to have fire in your hand, that you just cannot keep cold fire on your hand for long. Every time you try to adjust your palm. The same way people with iman will be faced with dilemmas in this year. We are in very difficult times, aren't we? We are. To control our children, to control our boys, our girls, our ladies, our families. It's really becoming difficult. The environment is against us. The media is against us. The propaganda is against us extensively, and we are living in this era. We are trying as much as we can to save ourselves. This was the time when Muawiyah actually used to buy the people. A man would stand up in his court and he would ask, how many have been bought over today? From where? Bought over from faith in Ali ibn Abi Talib to loyalty to Muawiyah. Those who were bought over. Bought over, actually. And the accountant would tell him, Muawiyah, today we have bought 5. At what price? He would ask, at what price? Oh, we have paid to one 10,000, to another 20,000. That's not very dear, quite cheap. That means money was being distributed to buy the people over. In those days, one man came there and said, Muawiyah, I would like to sell also. He said, what will you sell? He said, I will sell whatever you want. Tell me. He said, can you make one hadith against Ali ibn Abi Talib? Solid one. And he made one immediately. A hadith which said Ali ibn Abi Talib prayed 2 rakat namaz in the morning drunk. Muawiyah said, that is solid. How much do you want for that? He said, tell me the price. He said, 20,000. You are a fool, Muawiyah. You think I can sell such a big thing for 20,000? If you pay 40,000, I'll sell it. Muawiyah said, all right, give him. He gave 40,000. The fellow gave the hadith complete with narration, Fulan Ravi, everything given, ready, delivered. And people were sold like this, bought over. Against Ali ibn Abi Talib. May Allah keep us and protect us from being sold over against Ali ibn Abi Talib. Because that faith in Ali is such that people get killed and hanged, but they don't swerve, they don't budge an inch from that love they have for Ali ibn Abi Talib, having taken him as a model and an example in our life, that none can replace him. Whatever be the price, it may mean sacrifice of business, it may mean sacrifice of employment, it may mean sacrifice of family relations, it may mean sacrifice of life and money and everything, but not Iman Ali ibn Abi Talib, and no play with it, and no comparison of Ali ibn Abi Talib with the enemies of Ali ibn Abi Talib. May Allah protect us. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.